Chapter 10. Hypno-Horror. George and Harold knew exactly where those evil twins had taken Crackers and Sulu, to the same place they would have taken them, their treehouse. So our two heroes dashed home as fast as they could. Then they climbed up the treehouse ladder as quietly as they could. But when they peeked inside, they saw something that was 389 times worse than they ever could have imagined. The evil twins were hypnotizing their beloved pets with a 3D hypno-ring. "You will obey our every command," said evil Harold. "Yeah," said evil George. "And you'll be really wicked from now on, too." George and Harold gasped, which is actually not a very smart thing to do if you're trying to go unnoticed. "Hey, look!" shouted evil Harold. "Gaspers! Get him!" shouted evil George to their newly hypnotized pets. Crackers still moved. The dazed pterodactyl shook his head and looked a little confused, but Sulu immediately sprung into action. He lunged at George and Harold, grabbed them by their shirts, and yanked them to the ground. "Hey!" said evil George. "Those kids look just like us. What should we do with them?" "We can't take any chances," said evil Harold. Then he called Sulu in a loud and commanding voice. "Destroy them, O wicked hamster!" Chapter 11. Crackers to the Rescue. Crackers did not understand what was going on, but the plucky pterodactyl knew that something needed to be done, and quickly. So, with a sudden whoosh of flapping wings, Crackers swooped in and grabbed George and Harold from the relentless little paws of their raging robotic rodent rival. "Oh no!" screamed Harold. "Crackers is going to fly us high into the air and drop us! We're doomed!" "Actually, I think he's trying to rescue us," said George. "But he got hypnotized just like Sulu," said Harold. "Why on earth would he do the opposite of what he was ordered to do?" "And how come all of our pronouns are getting isolized?" asked George. "Let's not worry about that now," said Harold. "We've got to get out of here." "But we can't leave Sulu behind," cried George. "Don't worry," said Harold. "We'll come back for Sulu." So the three friends flew to the school and headed upstairs to the library. "Hey, that looks like a pterodactyl," said Mr. Krupp as our heroes pushed past him. "Let me pet him! Let me pet him!" Mr. Krupp cried, chasing after them. Crash. George, Harold, and Crackers finally reached the library just in time to see Sulu and their evil twins smash through the ceiling with a terrible crash. "You losers won't get away from us this time," said evil Harold. Desperately, George, Harold, and Crackers tumbled into the Purple Potty, slammed the door shut, and quickly reset the controls. Mr. Krupp and Sulu pounded on the door of the Purple Potty, while George and Harold's evil twins shook the malfunctioning time machine from side to side. All at once, an orange light started flashing wildly. The Purple Potty began to shake and wobble violently. Then the entire room lit up with an explosive burst of lightning as the Purple Potty, and everyone around it, disappeared into a whirlwind of electric air. Chapter 12. Ka-Blamski! Suddenly, there was another blinding flash of light. Everyone around the Purple Potty flew off in different directions. Then the Purple Potty stopped shaking and wobbling and switched into shutdown mode. George, Harold, and Crackers peeked out. "Look," said Harold, "there aren't any books in this library. We must be back in our own reality." "But we've got to be sure," said George. The two boys tucked Crackers into Harold's book bag and crept out into the hallway. As they peered into the windows of nearby classrooms, they saw room after room of heartbroken and despondent-looking children. Some were standing in corners, weeping. Others were sitting on dunce stools wearing humiliating hats, while still others were writing unbelievably degrading sentences over and over on the chalkboard as their teachers rifled through their lunch boxes, stealing all of the best desserts. "Yep," sighed George. "We're back in our own reality." "I never thought I'd say this," said Harold, "but it's good to be home." "To the treehouse!" cried George. Chapter 13, Purple Potty People Unite! Seconds after George, Harold, and Crackers left the library, 4 confused beings from an alternate dimension began to stir. Evil George, Evil Harold, Evil Sulu, and nice Mr. Krupp stumbled to the center of the strange, empty library, rubbing their heads and looked around curiously. "Look," said Evil George, "this library has no books on the shelves." Said Evil Harold. "It looks like we've entered some kind of alternate universe, an illogical reality where everything is backwards." "Backwards, eh?" said Evil George. "We could do quite well in a place like this." He walked over to the drinking fountain and splashed some water on nice Mr. Krupp's face. Suddenly, nice Mr. Krupp's confused smile turned into an evil frown. He ripped off his clothes and tied a red curtain from a nearby window around his neck. Then Evil George handed him a bad toupee, and the pernicious principal stood before them, snarling angrily through his flared nostrils. "I am Captain Blunderpants!" he shouted in a thunderous voice.